Hi guys, in this video today I'm going to tell you how to work with Desmos.com to create your function creation. So the first thing you'll do is you will go to Desmos.com, and when you go in here I want to show you a couple things. One thing is you can scroll down and see some examples of things that other people have done. So here is Staff Picks Creative Art. If I click on that and I scroll down, there are bunches and bunches of projects that are just like what we are doing for this class. So these are here as examples for you, and you can use them to look at, but just be careful that you are not plagiarizing and copying someone else's project. So for instance, I want to take a look at one of them. I'm going to go back up to the top. And here is an example of Winnie the Pooh, and I'm going to click on that, and I'm not sure if this is the exact one that I've looked at before, but I'm going to show you some things. So we click on that, Winnie the Pooh, and this person has created folders, and you can do that if you want to. You don't have to, but I'm going to pick something, maybe the head outline. If I click on that folder, you can see all the equations that went into the head outline. So those are the equations, and you can see how many there are there. Ours is not going to be that complex. If you want to make it that complex, you can, but you don't have to. So here's the mouth. If I click on that, we can see there are 4 equations that make up that mouth. Several of them are, well, all of them actually are parabolas. We could go to the honey and click on that folder, and we can see all the equations that go into that folder. There are a bunch of them that went into that honey bucket, I'm guessing. So those are some examples that you are welcome to look at. Also in these, if you click on Winnie, you can see the actual picture they started with, and if you click on honey, you can see the picture they started with there. I'm going to hide the honey, but I'm going to go back to this Winnie and show you a couple things. Notice their lines do not exactly match up with their original image. So here in their image, like look at their mouth. The lines do not totally match up with the mouth. Same thing here, look at this head. It does not totally match up with the head. But you know what? If I hide that image, it still looks pretty darn good, doesn't it? So don't worry if your image does not match with your exact lines. That's okay. The image is just for you to get an idea of where to put these lines. Okay, let me show you how to do this. So I'm going to close this window. I'm going to go back to Desmos.com. And so one other thing, when you get to Desmos.com, click on Start Graphing. And if you have not created an account yet, I would recommend that you create an account. It is really easy to do. All you have to have is either a Google account or an email address. It's free. And the thing is, that will let you save your project. If you do not have an account, you don't have a way to save it, and that's going to be very difficult. So create an account to save it. I actually have an account, so I'm going to sign in to my account. Now, the first thing I want to do is figure out what do I want to draw. So in this example, I'm going to choose a minion, and part of the reason I'm choosing a minion is oftentimes people choose minions. I'm a little tired of minions, so I'm going to do that as an example. Hopefully no one else will do a minion. So I'm going to pick one, and so I picked this one, and I'm just going to click and drag it onto my desktop. You'll notice I already have one there, so I'm going to throw this one away. Okay, it is on my desktop now. Since it is on my desktop, I'm going to go back to Desmos, and I'm going to open up a full window here, and we have a plus button. When I hit that plus button, I have all of these options. I'm going to go down and create. This is a plus like create, right? So I'm going to create an image. Now on my image, it was just called download, whatever. When I clicked and dragged it over, it called itself download. So I'm going to go over. Here's my desktop. Here are my downloads, and I'm going to choose that one. And it's going to import it for me. Now that it's here, I actually want to blow it up larger because look, this is only up to like 5. It says width 10, height 10, but it's really only up to 5. I want to make it bigger. To do that, I'm going to click on the image. Now I've got these click and drag things. I'm going to pinch zoom so that it's smaller, and I'm going to drag this corner out to make it at least 10 by 10, but you know what? I think I want to make it 20 by 20. Okay, now I'm going to come back to the center, and I clicked and drag it over to the middle, and now here is my image. The reason I wanted to do that is if you had it as small as it was in the beginning, then all of your equations are going to have these tiny little decimals, right? So now I've got it from 20 to 20, and so for instance, these eyeballs, like right here, like where is this point? Well, look, it's at like maybe 11 or 12. I don't have to make it 1.2, okay? So this way it avoids decimals. I think it's going to help you if you open up your image, make it larger, and make it maybe at least 20 by 20 to make it big enough to do some equations that don't have to have decimals on everything. Okay, now that I have it imported, now I'm going to start making some equations. Now, my suggestion to you is put the equation in one of the forms that is like a standard form. For instance, I'm going to choose, first of all, Vertex Form. I'm going to want to create this head, okay? Just the top of that head there. So I'm going to make a parabola. That to me looks like an upside down parabola. So I'm going to go y equals a times x minus h quantity squared plus k. Okay, you might be thinking, where did I get this? Because I remember in math, that's where what we learned is the vertex form of an equation. If you don't remember that, go up to a new tab and type in form of parabola and see what they will tell you. Oh, look, here are some different forms you could use for a parabola. Okay, so if you don't remember, use Google and find out. Okay, here it is. I wanted it with the A's and the H's and the K's because I want to create some sliders. Here it is. It has created this parabola, but I can use my sliders to see what, okay, well, I want this on the head. It's not near the head, right? I want it to be upside down. Okay, I want it like this, like upside down. I'm trying to make it really wide. I'm going to just stop there. I made it upside down, made it wide. I'm now going to bring it up. How do I bring it up? Well, I look over here. K. K is the one that brings it up. So I'm going to bring it up here. Doesn't go far enough, but at least gives me an idea, okay? And now if I wanted to go left and right, that's where the H would come in. And I would drag that H wherever it needed to go. So now that I have some information in my sliders, first of all, let me back up. In your sliders, if you click on that slider, you can change it. Like for instance, the K. The K didn't get as high as I wanted it to, right? So let's make it go to at least 20. Okay, now my slider, if I slide my K, here we are. Now I can slide it all the way up to 20, which is where I want it to be. Okay, so you can change your sliders. All right, let's go back because now I remember quadratics now, and I remember what to do. I remember for my A, I want it to be negative. That made it upside down. I'm going to get rid of that slider now. I remember for my H, I actually don't want an 8. I want a 0 there because that's in the middle and my minion is centered, so it's going to make it 0. It will be easier for your design if your object is centered because then a lot of things can just be at that 0 and you don't have to create something. Okay, for my K, I'm going to get rid of my K and I'm going to get rid of my H and I'm going to put K, I'm going to put 20. Okay, I'm pretty close. It's not wide enough, but it's pretty close. To make it wider, I'm going to go out to the very front where the A used to be. The slider I had didn't go to the level of the A's that I want. I'm going to try 0.1. Ooh, okay, 0.1's pretty good. I'm going to go maybe 0.05. Oh, that's even better. That kind of looks cone-headish though, right? So maybe I want to go even wider than that. So like a 0.6, 0.7. I'm going the wrong way, so I'm going to go to 0.3. Aha, that's pretty good. Maybe 0.4. Ooh, 0.4 is pretty good here. Okay, 0.4 is what it is. The other thing is, for this project, I do not want this parabola to go all the way over, right? That's confusing. I want it to stop somewhere. Where do I want it to stop? Well, I tell you what, for this one, let's stop this one at -10. See how like that would be a good cutoff point for that? And on this side, let's just do -10 again for this side. We might end up going farther. Maybe we'll go 11 for this side. So here's what I'm going to do. In that same line, I'm going to hit space. I'm going to use these brackets, which is on your keyboard. Let me see if they have it here. They do not have it here as far as I can see. No, They do not have it here. So on your keyboard, it's between the delete and the return button. And it is a bracket that looks like this. It's a shift, okay? So you're going to use that between the delete and the return, the shift. And what you're doing is you're making an inequality. We've been using domain, right? That's what we're doing for domain. But instead of using interval notation, we're going to use inequality notation. So I'm going to go from -10 is less than x is less than positive 10. Actually, make it 11. Ooh, what in the heck? Oh, I lost a 0. Okay, 10. There we go. All right, look, that line is pretty close. And remember I said you don't have to make it perfect. When I hide this minion and I just have that line, that's a pretty good line. All right, so that's okay. That's a good one. I'm going to do one more thing for you. That is the quadratic. That's the parabola. Okay, what if I want to do the glasses? The glasses is a circle. We did not study circles in this class. Equation of circle. Aha, here it is. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. I'm going to plug that into Desmos. Okay, I'm going to go back and figure out what the heck does that equation mean. So if I go back to this, I'm going to just click, oh, here I don't even have to click. With the center being at the point hk and the radius being r. So this is r squared, my radius is r. Let me show you what that means. My hk is my center of my circle. Let's say I want the center of my circle right here, and let's just call that -10 or -5, positive 10. That means for the x's, -5 means +5. Positive 10 means -10. Just like all year long, whatever's inside those parentheses is the opposite sign. R squared. Let's say I want my radius to be like 5. If my radius is 5, I'm going to put a 25 over here. Aha! Again, pretty good. Maybe not great, but pretty good. You know what? I kind of want to move it over to the left, so I'm going to make this a 6 instead. That moved it over to the left. If I want to move it down a little bit, maybe instead of a 10, make it a 9. Ooh, that is pretty darn close. I think I'm happy with that. So I'm going to stick with that. The first equation was a parabola. It had to have this domain restriction, because if it didn't have that, that parabola line would keep going. Circles is maybe the only one you don't have to have a domain restriction. You might want to, but you don't have to. On the first one that I did, I made it with the x's. Let's say you were doing some kind of drawing that you only wanted the top half of it. Then let's say, instead of x's, let's say y must be greater than 10. And so I'm going to do that same brace, and I'm going to say y must be greater than 10. Now I just have that semicircle that goes from the 10 up above. And so that's another possibility. Okay, that is the end of this video. That is just an introduction on how to get started, import your picture, use basic equations, and then you have to do those HIVO rules, those transformations, to figure it out. I guess maybe one last thing is how to save it. Obviously, you want to save this. Let's give it a name. I'm going to call it Minion. And now it's saved. Now, if I have to leave and go do something else, I can come back, and when I log in, then my Minion will still be there. Okay, I hope you can find some interesting images to recreate, and I hope you have fun making these with your Desmos.